ENOTRIA: The Last Song is an upcoming Souls-like adventure inspired by Italian folklore and theater. Created by Giamma, an indie developer from Milan, it certainly offers a unique and refreshing sun-baked environment that differs vastly from the somber tones typical to the genre. That's not to say that ENOTRIA doesn't take the maskless one to dark places, namely the catacombs featured in the demo, but the overall art style is certainly more warm and inviting. On May 22nd, a demo was released on PlayStation 5 and Steam, and although the developers touted the demo to be a whopping 8 hours in length, this was far from accurate. As an avid fan of the Souls-like genre, the entire experience came out to a little less than 5 hours, and that included me wasting about 45 minutes on an optional challenge, and the hour or so it took me to defeat the final boss of the demo while I was discussing the differences between jellies and jams with chat. I do stream 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 AM Central, so be sure to stop by and say hi. The official website of ENOTRIA estimates the game to take about 40 hours to beat, but considering the gross overestimation of the demo, it's likely to only be about 20 hours in length for those focusing on the main story, and closer to 30 plus hours for those interested in exploring every nook and cranny the game has to offer in order to experience the multiple endings. From a lore perspective, ENOTRIA distinguishes itself with a unique theatrical setting based loosely around Carnavaccio, which is a type of stage acting characterized by its emphasis on improvisation and creativity. Numerous items in the game tease at the ambiguous lore, from the upgrade materials to the weapons, and even the masks themselves, but more on those later. Much like any game of the genre, the combat is simple yet effective. Light and heavy attacks, dodge rolling, and even a dedicated jump button allow for a satisfying experience for exploring the world and facing off with the various enemies. The parry in particular is incredibly effective and ties directly into a built-in stagger system that rewards skilled players for successfully executing a parry the opportunity to deal massive amounts of damage. This is referred to as unraveling in-game. Once the designated bar is filled up, either by attacks or parries, the enemies will become unraveled and enter a staggered state. The demo offered a wide variety of weapons ranging from small straight swords to colossal bludgeons, each of which were categorized by the type of damage they excelled in dealing. ENOTRIA features an interesting status effect system that I found to be a breath of fresh air. As opposed to just being inflicted with your typical elements, such as fire, frost, or even poison, the ailments are all tied to different concepts. For example, Vis, which is one of the 4 primal elements, causes the massless one to deal higher physical damage and gain increased stamina regeneration at the cost of receiving more damage. It's interesting little mechanics like this that take a basic elemental damage or poison system and elevate them to a more meaningful affliction. Vis is specifically tied to pools of wine that can soak the player and cause this effect to take place. Given that we're in an Italian folklore-inspired world, it's quite fitting. These various threats force the massless one to adopt different strategies depending not only on the enemies present, but the environment as well. A single strategy that was effective in one area may not be as successful in another, and this is where the mask system comes into play. Each mask acquired through collecting a certain number of shards from fallen enemies offers a unique set of skills and abilities called lines. Masks can be switched with the press of a button, and any corresponding loadout will be available immediately. This grants the player the freedom to experiment with different builds and damage types without the need to respec or start a fresh file. Although this was a welcome addition to the genre, I found that I spent my entire time donning a single mask throughout much of the demo. Aside from the minor changes in abilities and damage types, I quickly discovered that physical damage and high unraveling reign supreme. However, the convenience of switching back and forth is undeniable. Instead of focusing on specific attributes when leveling, the player can focus on meaningful investments like health and stamina. Combat in ENOTRIA feels responsive, and collision detection is actually quite nice. However, situations that force close-quarter skirmishes really highlight the shaky camera and awkward enemy lock-on. If you haven't already faced off with the blacksmith in the demo, then lucky you. His attack style is incredibly aggressive, and he lunges forward an unexpected distance with each strike. Considering many of the battles take place in cramped areas or indoors, or possibly even when your back is up against a wall, this issue presents itself more often than not. This brings up another point of contention with the combat. In most instances, encounters feel reasonable and balanced, but every once in a while an enemy's health, damage output, or placement is just outright unfair. Take this challenge by the Catacombs for example. Even multiple perfect parries in rapid succession couldn't turn the tide of the battle. Additionally, the platforming can prove a bit frustrating at times. Fortunately, jumping doesn't require a running start and can be executed with a single press of a button. However, the height of the jump far exceeds the distance, so it's incredibly easy to miscalculate a jump and fall to your death. At times, the AI can just completely freeze up, and enemies will stand in place and just patiently await their inevitable deaths. This happened to me during my playthrough several times and actually allowed me to complete the challenge that I mentioned earlier. Aside from those minor gripes, ENOTRIA does exceptionally well in its boss fights. It's easy to see how carefully each boss was designed and truly appreciate the varied yet simple nature of these battles. As per usual, each loss encourages the player to learn the boss's moveset and memorize its attack patterns. More skilled players can benefit from well-timed parries and unraveling from major damage, while the more imaginative can switch between masks and playstyles to emerge victorious. After a solid 5-hour experience, I must say that I'm genuinely looking forward to the full launch on September 19th. Keep in mind that those who purchase the deluxe edition will have access to the game 3 days earlier, starting on the 16th. Now this video was actually really fun to put together, and if y'all want more reviews, previews, and first impressions in this style, then be sure to like the video and comment ENOTRIA down below. It lets me know you want more content just like this. That small, simple gesture actually goes a long way in making my dream of doing this full time a reality. Click on these videos on screen to continue your journey through the world of ENOTRIA, and I'll be there to guide you when you arrive. Check out my Ko-fi for exclusive perks like emojis, members-only videos, and more, or if you just want to support me in a more personal way. Until next time, it's the Inhuman one signing out. Join the Inhuman community today.